This isn't a joke. Look what this little girl did in front of a royal guard. I'm showing you one of the funniest and most tense photos ever captured.
Welcome to Eternal Moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start.
An almost forbidden image. Kim Il-sung, North Korea's supreme leader, reveals a tumor on his neck, something the regime jealously concealed. During the 1980s, photographers were strictly ordered never to capture his right profile. This side of his face was considered unsightly by North Korean propaganda, which constructed his image as almost divine, a photo that defied myth, and survived the regime's control. An NYPD patrol car in 1979 captures the raw soul of a New York City on the brink of chaos and transformation. These were years of rampant crime, graffiti, and racial tension. The city lived in a mix of danger and vibrant culture. This photo, taken by an amateur, shows the police presence as a symbol of order or repression, depending on who you ask. An urban postcard frozen just before the renaissance of the 1980 South. A powerful image, a Palestinian policeman searching a Jew at the iconic Jaffa Gate in 1929, during one of the most tense years of the British Mandate. That year, violent clashes erupted between Jewish and Arab communities in the Holy Land. This scene reflects a time fraught with suspicion, surveillance, and a fragile balance that was already beginning to break down. A rare photo that captures the exact moment history began to ignite. A gem within a gem, a Jewish jewelry seller in Yemen, captured in an image steeped in history and mysticism. In the 20th century, the Yemenite Jewish communities still maintained millennial-old traditions before their mass exodus to Israel. Their craft, passed down through generations, blended art, faith, and survival in a rapidly changing world. A serene and beautiful photos that holds the echoes of a world almost gone. A haunting image. Hirela Talfa, Saddam Hussein's uncle and father-in-law, in the 1960s. Long before his influence took dictatorial form, a former military man and Nazi collaborator Talfa instilled in Saddam a visceral hatred with phrases so dark that they even adorned his presidential desk. Persians, Jews, and flies are the three errors of God, he said, setting the ideological tone of the future regime. This photo captures the man who shaped the dictator from the shadows, a chilling image full of historical irony. Croatian Ustaša, nationalists making the three-finger salute, a sacred symbol of Serbian Orthodox Christianity. It was taken around 1941, at the height of an ultranationalist regime, allied with the Nazis that brutally persecuted Serbs, Jews, and Roma. The gesture, seemingly mocking or infiltrated, adds a layer of symbolic tension to this digitally restored scene, a photo that shows how even symbols can be used as provocation in times of hatred. At 4:31 a.m. on June 22, 1941, this banned photo captured Stalin in the Kremlin at the exact moment he received news of the Nazi attack. His frozen expression reveals disbelief and fear, emotions rarely associated with the Man of Steel. It was secretly taken by the editor-in-chief of Komsomolskaya Pravda, who disobeyed orders to destroy it and hid it for decades. A unique visual testament to the moment the illusion of absolute control collapsed. A rarely seen image of General George S. Patton in the turbulent years leading up to World War II, when he was still a figure in the making, dressed in his trademark sternness. He already radiated the intensity and arrogance that would make him legendary on the battlefield in the 1930s. Patton was honing his obsession with mechanized warfare, anticipating a conflict that would change the world. This photo is like a tense calm before the roar of tanks, a scene filled with manipulated hope. Polish citizens line up at a German employment office and occupy DH 1939. They were promised decent wages and good conditions in Germany, but the reality was slavery, abuse, and silence. These offices, called Arbeitsamt, were a trap disguised as an opportunity amidst Nazi terror. The photo freezes the moment before the mass disillusionment of an entire people. A disturbing image of Adolfo de Jesus, a shadowy criminal who combined drug trafficking, satanic worship, and ritual murders in the 1980s. Known as the leader of Los Narcosatánicos, his story is a true nightmare straight out of a horror movie. Constanzo and his cult committed more than 20 bloody murders, terrorizing both criminals and innocent people. This photo reveals the man behind the myth, a figure as charismatic as he is a unique image of General and President Ulysses S. Grant, posing with a prop to maintain his posture during photography. Essential technology in the 1860s. At that time, any sudden movement ruined the photo due to the long exposure required. This detail shows how early photography required patience and rigor, capturing a key figure in the American Civil War, a portrait that blends history, science, and the effort to immortalize the hero. A rare image of Pol Pot, the brutal leader of the Khmer Rouge, enjoying a meal at a Chinese restaurant in 1988. After years of genocide in Cambodia, this photo shows an everyday human, almost surreal side of the dictator, far from the terror and destruction. A peaceful moment that contrasts with his dark legacy, a snapshot that reminds us that behind history, there are always unexpected details. A rare photo of Kim Jong-il, presenting an award in the 1970s, when he was just beginning to consolidate his power in North Korea. With his characteristic style and enigmatic gaze, he demonstrates the theatricality and control that would define his regime for decades. The act of presenting an award here is more than a gesture. It is a tool of propaganda and absolute loyalty, a snapshot that reveals the power behind the scenes in one of the most closed regimes in the world. A historic and striking image, the Kaaba, Islam's holiest site, surrounded by a flood in 1941. This natural phenomenon, rare in Mecca, shows how even the holiest sites are not exempt from the relentless force of nature. The photo captures a moment of vulnerability and wonder in a city that normally symbolizes spiritual stability, a visual testament that unites faith, history, and natural power in a single scene. A rare photo of Qusay Hussein from the 1990s, holding a rifle and revealing the face of the violent legacy of the Hussein dynasty. As the son of dictator Saddam Hussein, Qusay was a key player in military control and repression in Iraq. The image reflects the blend of family power and brutality that defined that dark era. A frozen moment reveals the shadow he cast over the country for decades. A rarely seen image of the infamous British gangster Reggie Cray, captured inside his prison cell at an unknown time. Along with his brother, he dominated London's underworld with a blend of violence and charisma that became legendary. This photo shows the contrast between criminal power and the solitude of prison, an intimate portrait that humanizes and, at the same time, unsettles the iconic criminal. A historic image of Emperor Taisho of Japan observing military exercises in 1919, just after World War I. His gaze reflects Japan's transition to a modern military power. At a pivotal moment of change and ambition, the emperor, although in fragile health, symbolized imperial continuity in turbulent times, a photo that captures the balance between tradition and modernity in the Taisho era. Striking images of Operation Barbarossa in 1941, the largest and most brutal Nazi invasion of World War II. These rare photos show everything from the relentless advance of tanks to the desperation of soldiers trapped in the Russian cold. A dark chapter where the war became a hell of destruction and extreme resilience. Each image is a visual reminder of the human price of unbridled ambition. A rare image of Emperor Hirohito smiling, captured in the late 1930s, amid global turmoil. This rare human moment contrasts with the solemn figure, the Japanese monarchy, cut during military expansion. His smile, brief and almost furtive, reveals an unknown side behind the weight of imperial power, a photo that humanizes the man behind the myth in turbulent times. A fascinating image of a World War I soldier using a camera fitted to a periscope, an innovation for capturing the war without exposing himself to danger. In 1915, technology and ingenuity came together to document the horrors and reality from the trenches. This photo reveals how creativity survived amid the chaos of war, with one goal: to record history, a moment where war and the camera met on the border between life and death. A rare image of a young Winston Churchill in 1895, long before he became the leader who would guide Great Britain through World War II. Here, we see a man in the midst of development, his gaze fixed on a future full of challenges and historic decisions. This portrait reveals the youth of a politician who would soon make his mark with his tenacity and oratory, a window into the past of a figure who would change the destiny of the world. A rarely seen image of Norvell Sinclair Marley, British Army veteran and father of legendary reggae singer Bob Marley, taken in the 1930s in Jamaica as a white officer in a time of deep racial divisions. His life stood in stark contrast to the world his son would transform through music. This photo captures a familial bond that unites stories of struggle, identity, and cultural legacy. A portrait that connects the colonial past with the vibrant spirit of reggae. A striking high-resolution photo of the destroyed Chernobyl nuclear reactor, captured almost 30 years after the disaster that changed history. The ruins show the magnitude of the catastrophe and the neglect it left behind. An area shrouded in radiation and mystery. This silent monument recalls the danger of poorly controlled energy and the lives that were forever scarred. An image that invites reflection on human fragility in the face of technology. A rare photo of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini in 1965, during his exile in Turkey, far removed from the religious image he would later impose on Iran. Here he appears without his trademark turban and clerical attire, wearing Western clothing, a striking contrast to his future authoritarian figure. This portrait reveals a man in transition, before becoming the supreme leader who would transform Iranian history. A unique image showing the less, more human Khomeini. An incredibly rare photo of the Beatles playing to just 18 people in Aldershot, England, in December 1961, before worldwide fame. These energetic and talented young men began from humble stages and small audiences. This image captures the humble beginnings of a band that would revolutionize music forever. A nostalgic throwback to when the Beatlemania phenomenon was still a well-kept secret. The first known photo of the Chernobyl disaster, taken by the plant's photographer at dawn on April 26, 1986. It captures the moment just as the tragedy began to unfold, before the world understood the magnitude of the disaster. The image is a silent testimony to the beginning of a nuclear catastrophe that changed history and the lives of thousands. A frozen instant that marks the before and after of an era marked by fear and resilience. A rare photo that reunites Vincent van Gogh with his inseparable pipe, alongside artists Paul Gauguin, Arnold Koning, and Émile Bernard in 1887. This encounter captures a key moment in post-impressionism, where ideas and styles mingled to revolutionize art amid camaraderie and creativity. These geniuses shared debates, dreams, and tensions that shaped their works. An image that invites us to peer into the vibrant heart of a historic artistic movement. An incredibly rare and candid color photo of a B-17 bomber en route to Germany in the 1940s. The crew member's gaze reveals the tension and courage before a dangerous mission in the midst of World War II. Color adds a human and realistic dimension to a moment usually only seen in black and white. An image that captures the courage and uncertainty of war from the heart of the conflict. A rare photo showing real cowboys resting in Tascosa, Texas, in 1908. Far from the glamour of Hollywood, captured by Irwin E. Smith. This image reveals the daily life and exhaustion of men who lived the authentic West, There are no duels or action, only camaraderie and pauses amidst hard, lonely work. A genuine glimpse into the spirit and reality of the cowboys of old Texas. An extremely rare photo, capturing a rare moment of military cooperation and observation in tense times. Representatives of Japan, the United States, and Germany, together in New York, August 1939, before the outbreak of World War II. These generals witnessed maneuvers that would reveal hidden strategies and tensions. The image captures a fleeting moment, when rivalry had not yet erupted into open conflict, a historic portrait showing how calm can precede a global storm, an extremely rare photo showing Louis Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, and Malcolm X together in the same room in the early 1960s. This trio represented the ideological and charismatic heart of the Nation of Islam at its height. Shortly thereafter, Malcolm would break with the organization over deep differences, a rift that would seal its tragic fate. This image is a silent portrait of unity before betrayal, fall, and history. A rare photo of Lenny McLean at age 17 in 1966. Long before he became a legend of British crime and cinema, known as Britain's toughest man, he was an unlicensed boxer, a pub bully, and a feared underworld debt collector. Decades later, he would become iconic as Barry the Baptist in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. This youthful image shows the boy who would later earn respect, with punches. A solemn and rarely seen photo of the funeral for 28 German victims of the Hindenburg disaster, held in New York in 1937. Mourning spreads amidst Nazi flags and state symbols, reflecting a moment of diplomatic tension and shared grief. The crash, which marked the end of the airship era, left a profound mark on the history of aviation. This image captures the clash between human tragedy and political propaganda on American soil. A very rare photo showing Russian priests blessing Red Army soldiers during World War II, between 1941 and 1943. In a surprising twist, Stalin allowed this practice to boost popular morale. Despite the harsh anti-religious policies of the 1930s, the image symbolizes a momentary truce between communism and faith, uniting the cross and red star in the face of the Nazi enemy. A powerful moment where national survival overcame decades of ideological repression. A rare and poignant photo of Finnish soldiers during the Winter War 1939-1940, facing the gigantic Red Army with courage and cunning under extreme temperatures. With limited resources, these men defended their land with guerrilla tactics and an indomitable spirit. The image reflects not only the harshness of the climate, but also the steadfastness of a people who refused to surrender. A chilling portrait of resilience, ingenuity, and national pride. A rare and enchanting photograph of Empress Elizabeth of Austria, known as Sissy, smiling in 1865 for Oscar Kramer's camera. Famous for her beauty, melancholy, and rebellious spirit, Sissy rarely allowed herself to be photographed, much less with such a natural expression. This image offers an intimate glimpse into the woman behind the imperial myth. Far from the protocol and rigidity of the court, a moment of humanity and grace frozen in time. An exceptional image, taken in 1914 in the Netherlands. A traffic accident, at a time when vehicles were still a novelty. The scene blends the unusual and the everyday, with curious pedestrians and carriages stopped by what was then almost a rarity. Such incidents were so rare that they became worthy of photographing. Like a misunderstood, modern novelty. A photo that captures the awe of a society entering literally the age of the motor. A very rare photograph of the Great Sphinx taken in 1880, when it still lay buried almost up to its shoulders in the desert sand. At that time, Egypt was just beginning to awaken the Western archaeological interest that would change its modern history. The image shows the Sphinx as a sleeping giant, eroded by centuries of wind and neglect, a visual testament to the ancient mystery, before being rediscovered by the world. A moving photo of a riff gorilla, saying goodbye to his son before leaving for war against the Spanish occupiers during the Rif War, 1921 to 1926. In that moment, courage and sacrifice blend with the tenderness of a father facing an uncertain fate. The image reflects the struggle for independence and the human cost behind a little-known conflict, an intimate portrait that brings us closer to the heart of an ancient resistance, an extremely rare photo of the Eiffel Tower under construction in July 1888, showing the metallic innards of what would become a global icon in the midst of the World's Fair in Paris. This challenging structure symbolized innovation and modernity, although it also sparked controversy among artists and citizens. The image captures the human effort and pioneering engineering that shaped one of the wonders of the industrial age, a frozen moment where iron began to conquer the Parisian sky, a rare and solemn image, showing a priest praying for the victims of the Titanic before they were buried at sea. In the midst of tragedy, this act of faith and respect provides a moment of peace in an ocean marked by loss. The photo captures humanity in the face of the magnitude of the disaster that shook the world in 1912, a silent moment honoring those who never returned to dry land. A rare photo of the Messerschmitt Me 163 Comet, piloted by Eric Winkle Brown in 1945. One of the most advanced and fastest rocket planes of World War II, Brown, a legendary British test pilot, risked his life to master this incredible German machine that revolutionized military aviation. The image shows the audacity and technological innovation at a time when war was driving dizzying advances, a visual testament to human courage and speed in the skies of the 1940s. A rare and historic photo showing Dave Mustaine, former Metallic guitarist, and Kirk Hammett, former Exodus guitarist, sharing the same space between 1982 and 1983, before they both became metal legends. Here they are at the dawn of a music scene that would change the genre forever. This image captures the crossroads of two explosive talents. Before their paths diverged and fame arrived, a priceless moment for fans who know the origins of thrash metal, a historical treasure for International Nurses Day, a rare photo of Florence Nightingale taken in 1858 and only discovered in 2006. We celebrate the lady with the lamp, whose legacy revolutionized healthcare 200 years ago. This image connects us with a pioneering woman who transformed nursing into a respected and vital profession, a visual tribute that illuminates the courage and dedication that inspires millions today. A rare and poignant photo showing Titanic survivors in a lifeboat, still scarred by the horror they experienced. These images document the moment when, after the 1912 tragedy, the brave women returned home amidst relief and trauma. Each face reflects a story of survival, loss, and renewed hope, a visual testament that brings us closer to the human drama behind the most famous maritime disaster in history. A rare photo of Josip Broz Tito as a youth, taken as a mugshot after his arrest for communist activities in the Kingdom of Yugoslavia in 1928, before becoming the charismatic leader who unified Yugoslavia. This image shows a rebellious and determined young man. His gaze reflects the determination and struggle that would define his political path. A portrait that captures the beginning of a figure who would profoundly mark Balkan history. A rare photo that captures an aging Sonny Liston training with a young George Foreman in the late 1960s. This encounter between two boxing titans reflects the passing of the torch between generations, full of strength and talent. While Liston displayed his experience and power, Foreman was about to emerge as a rising legend, an image that encapsulates the living history of the ring in a single instant. A rare family photo shows Joseph Stalin with his daughter Svetlana in 1935, a rare moment of intimacy in the life of the feared Soviet leader, far from the public image of absolute power. This image reveals a human and vulnerable side, yet one fraught with complexity. Svetlana, who would later challenge her father's regime, appears as a symbol of the contradiction between family and politics. A portrait that invites reflection on the private life behind the ruthless power.